I just killed Cassie. We just left her house. This is not a fucking joke.
I'm shaking.
I stabbed her in the throat and I saw her lifeless body just disappear.
Brian Lee Draper and Torey Michael Adamcik were both 16-year-old high school students attending Pocatello High School in Idaho. They met after Brian, who had spent his formative years growing up in Utah, moved to Pocatello and met Torey shortly after arriving at his new school. After which, both boys bonded over a mutual interest for films. This fact, however, would actually lead to their eventual downfall. Our victim, Cassie, was also a junior at Pocatello High School, but it was actually her boyfriend, Mac Beckham, who knew and was good friends with Brian and Torey. On September the 22nd, 2006, Cassie Jo Stoddart had been hired by her aunt and uncle, Allison and Frank Contreras, to house sit for the weekend, watching over their 3 cats and 2 dogs. At roughly 6 p.m. that evening, Matt Beckham would visit Cassie at the Contreras residence on Whispering Cliffs Drive. Shortly after, the two 16-year-old boys, Brian and Torey, would be invited over to join the couple by Matt Beckham to, quote, hang out. Stoddart would proceed to give the two friends a tour of the house, including the darkened basement, until eventually the 4 teens would relax in the living room and watch the movie Kill Bill Volume 2. However, Brian and Torey would strangely end up leaving the house before the film concluded, saying they wanted to watch a movie at the local theater instead. Naturally, Cassie and her boyfriend Matt stayed behind in the house alone. Unbeknownst to the two of them, Brian Draper had unlocked the basement door so that he and Torey Adamcik could later on re-enter the house completely undetected. Sometime after the pair had left the neighborhood, they would return parked ominously down the street, clothed in costumes straight out of a horror movie. Brian and Torey would then silently and cautiously locate the basement door and enter the household unknowingly to Cassie Jo Stoddart and Matt Beckham. This is when the two boys begin their attempts at scaring the couple in hopes that they could lure them apart from each other and take them out one by one. They began by purposely making loud noises in the basement, with the idea of luring the couple downstairs to supposedly scare them. However, after this attempt failed completely, the pair of invaders stumbled upon the circuit breaker for the house, where they immediately thought to turn off the power, hoping the couple would come down to investigate. However, when Beckham and Stoddart strangely did not come down to the basement to check on the breaker, after some time the boys returned some of the power back to the house. Cassie would then become increasingly wary and uneasy of the thought that something foul was potentially at play due to the suspicious sounds and the random temporary power outage. Even more suspicious was when Matt Beckham noticed one of the Contreras dogs completely frozen in place, staring and occasionally barking down towards the basement stairs. Seeing that Stoddart was visually shaken by these events, Beckham called his mother to ask if he could stay at the residence with her for the evening to ease her mind. However, his request was denied. Instead, she suggested that Cassie come with Matt back to his house and spend the night there, and that she would drive Cassie back to Whispering Cliffs Drive the next morning. Unfortunately, Cassie Jo Stoddart rejected this offer due to her feeling naturally responsible for the safety of the house and the many pets within it, due to the trust vested in her by her family members. At approximately 10:30 p.m., Matt Beckham's mother arrived to pick him up and return home. This left Cassie Stoddart in the home alone for the rest of the evening. It was precisely at this moment that Matt Beckham would call Torey Adamcik's cell phone to see where the pair of boys were, in hopes that they could meet up later. Beckham later claims that the phone call was extremely muffled and quiet, that he could barely hear Torey on the phone, and that the boys were whispering to each other and to Matt over the phone call. Beckham assumed that the boys were just in a movie theater, he later said. Rewinding to the moment of Matt Beckham's departure from the building, the two boys heard and were aware of everything that was happening. They immediately decided to turn the lights out with the circuit breaker once again, and waited hopefully for Cassie to venture into the basement. Yet again, she remained in the living room, alone this time. Eventually, the two frustrated invaders decided to sneak up the stairs to enact their fateful plan. Brian Draper was armed with a dagger-type weapon, and Torey Adamcik with a hunting knife. The two blades had been previously purchased at a pawn shop. They began to scare the life out of Cassie, opening doors and slamming them at random on the top floor of the house. Cassie remained alone and terrified, laying on the couch in the living room in silence. Shortly after this began, the boys brutally attacked her, stabbing her roughly 30 times with 12 potentially fatal wounds, all while wearing their Halloween Scream-themed masks and outfits. This terrible crime had the potential to go unsolved and become a cold case mystery. The recipe was right, very little evidence left at the scene, and almost no motive to discern. However, the two boys had made a fateful mistake in their plan. Due to their common interest in filmmaking, the teens had decided to film, record, and save a copy of them discussing, planning, and laughing about their fantasy and intention of committing such a murder as the one that took place on September 22nd. During the police interrogations, both culprits shifted the bulk of the blame on each other. Draper claimed he was in the same room with Adamcik when Stoddart was killed. However, he outright denied the fact that he participated in the stabbing. Then later, he amended his statements, claiming to have stabbed Stoddart under an alleged order or command of Adamcik. He was the first of the two teens to lead the authorities to the Black Rock Canyon, the site where the pair had dumped and disposed of the clothing, masks, and weapons which were evidence used in the murder of Cassie Jo Stoddart. 5 days after the fact, on September 27, 2006, both Draper and Adamcik were arrested and charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. If only Cassie had taken up Matt Beckham's offer to leave the house when she had a chance. Until the next one. Thanks for watching.